You're 17 years old and three priests are staring at your teeth. Not your face, not your eyes. Your teeth. One of them has his fingers in your mouth right now, tilting your jaw toward the sun, making a soft humming noise like a man who just found the ripest mango at the market. Another is running his thumb down your spine, counting the bones. The third is staring at your toes and writing something on bark paper. You don't speak. You were told not to speak. You were told that if you flinch, if you scratch the mosquito bite that's been driving you insane for 40 minutes, you will be sent home. And right now, half the young men in Tenochtitlan would commit murder to switch places with you. You don't know it yet, but you just won the worst lottery in human history. In 30 seconds, the head priest is going to nod. He's going to wash his hands in copal-scented water. And he's going to tell you in a voice so calm it sounds like he's discussing the weather that you are now a god. You will be worshipped. You will be loved. You will be given 4 wives, the finest food in the empire, and clothing so beautiful the emperor himself will bow when you walk past. Strangers will weep just from seeing your face. You will not work a single day for the next 12 months. And then, exactly 365 days from now, you will walk up the steps of a stone pyramid. Lie down on a slab still warm from the last guy, and let a man with an obsidian knife cut your heart out of your chest while it's still beating. You will do this willingly. You will do it smiling. And the most insane part, when that knife comes down, you will genuinely believe you are the luckiest man who has ever lived. Welcome to your life as the chosen Aztec sacrifice. Forget everything Hollywood told you. There's no screaming, no chains, no running. The horror of this story isn't that they forced you to die. The horror is that they convinced you to want to. You're not even Aztec. You're a Tlaxcalan warrior captured 3 weeks ago in a flower war, which is the world's most aggressively branded military operation. The Aztecs literally call their wars flower wars because the goal isn't to kill. It's to capture the prettiest, healthiest, most physically perfect soldiers alive and ship them home. You are essentially the captured prom king of an entire battlefield. The criteria are insane. The Florentine Codex, the Aztec employee handbook for cosmic horror, lists exactly what they're looking for. Skin unblemished, teeth straight and complete, voice melodic, fingers long and slender, no flat feet, no stutter, no cowlicks. You are being selected for the role of teixiptla, the living impersonator of Tezcatlipoca, the smoking mirror, the most powerful god in the Aztec pantheon. God of the night sky, of fate, of jaguars, of beautiful and terrible things. For 1 year, your face will literally be his face. The head priest nods. The other two exhale. You passed. You're a god now. You also have, give or take, 365 sunrises left. Chapter 2. God School. The first month is school. Specifically, it's God School. You can't just shuffle around in jewelry and call it a day. You have to embody Tezcatlipoca, which means walking like him, talking like him, moving with the lazy, terrifying grace of a jaguar who has never been told no. A team of priests becomes your full-time entourage. Part manager, part stylist, part spiritual personal trainer. Except instead of prepping you for the Oscars, they're prepping you to die in the most photogenic way possible. You are taught to play 4 sacred clay flutes. When you walk through the streets, the music announces your presence. People stop whatever they're doing, cooking, weaving, arguing with their mother-in-law, drop to their knees, and press their foreheads to the dirt as you pass. You are taught to smoke a long reed pipe in slow, contemplative pulls, because gods don't chain smoke like nervous teenagers. You are taught to speak in poetry, actual structured Nahuatl verse. If a kid runs up and asks your favorite color, you can't say blue. You have to say something like, the color of the sky 3 breaths before the storm arrives. And then walk away while the child stares at you like you just rewired his brain. It's exhausting. Your jaw hurts from smiling beatifically. You miss your mother. You miss complaining. You miss being allowed to sneeze without 3 priests writing it down as a prophecy. But you don't say any of this out loud, because by week 3, something has started to happen. People are worshiping you. A woman threw herself in front of your sandals yesterday and wept openly because you accidentally made eye contact with her. A nobleman with more gold on his wrists than your entire village owns went down on both knees when you walked past and stayed there until you were out of sight. It is, no exaggeration, the most addictive drug ever invented. And the priests know exactly what they're doing. Because a man treated like a god for long enough starts to believe he is one. And a god does not run from his own altar. Chapter 3. The golden months. The middle of your year almost, makes the whole thing seem worth it. You live in your own palace. Servants bring you cocoa beans whipped into a foam so thick you can stand a feather in it. You sleep on cotton bedding so soft it feels like a cloud personally apologizing for any inconvenience. Your diet is roasted turkey, fresh fish from the lake, tamales stuffed with squash blossoms, vanilla, honey, and real chocolate, the bitter kind mixed with chili, drunk warm from clay cups painted with hummingbirds. You wear a different outfit every day. Feathered cloaks, jade earrings the size of duck eggs, anklets that ring like temple bells. Your face is painted with black stripes, the markings of Tezcatlipoca, and gold leaf is pressed onto your eyelids until they shimmer. You are essentially a walking museum exhibit, except the museum is the entire city of Tenochtitlan, and the exhibit can dance. And then, 20 days before the end, you get the wives. Yes, wives, plural. 4 of them. This is not me embellishing for the script. This is in the historical record. 4 young women, each one trained to impersonate a goddess. Xochiquetzal, goddess of love and flowers, Xilonen, goddess of young corn, Atlatonen of the coast, Huixtocihuatl of salt. They are beautiful. They are kind. They are, by the standards of the empire, the most desirable women alive. And for the final 20 days of your life, they will dance with you, sleep beside you, teach you songs, and weep with you when the time comes. You fall in love, you can't help it, anyone would. And here's the part the documentaries don't say out loud. The wives aren't a reward, they're a test. Because if you can walk away from 4 wives, a palace, and a year of being worshipped as a god, and still climb the temple steps willingly, then you have proven, beyond all doubt, that you are worthy. The Aztecs weren't sacrificing a man. They were sacrificing everything a man could ever possibly want. You just happened to be wearing it at the time. Chapter 4. The twist. Here's the part the documentaries skip. In month 10, you find out something that breaks you in half. You're not the only one. There has been a Tezcatlipoca impersonator every single year for as long as anyone can remember. There was one before you. There was one before him. Hundreds of young men. All perfect, all worshipped, all dead, and every one of them, in the final months of their lives, met the next one, because your replacement has already been chosen. He's 17 years old, a Aztec warrior captured in last summer's flower war. He's standing in the same stone room where you stood 12 months ago, and 3 priests are staring at his teeth right now. You meet him at a temple ceremony. He's wearing simple clothes. He hasn't been transformed yet. He looks at you with a mixture of awe, terror, and something else you can't quite place. It takes you a moment to recognize it. It's pity. He's looking at you the way you look at a candle that's almost burned down to the holder. And then he smiles. A small, sad, knowing smile. Because he understands something you didn't understand a year ago. He understands that the next 12 months of his life are going to be the best months any human being has ever lived. And then he's going to walk up the same steps you're about to walk up. That night, in your palace, on your cloud-soft bed, surrounded by 4 sleeping goddesses, you cry for the first time since you were a child. Nobody hears you. The walls are very thick. They were designed that way. Chapter 5. The slow goodbye. The final 20 days are when the empire takes everything back. First, your hair is cut. Your beautiful, oiled hair, gone. Replaced with the top knot of a warrior. You no longer look like a god. You look like a man. Then the jewelry comes off. The jade, the gold, the feathered headdress, all returned to the temple treasury, where it will be polished and stored for next year's god. Then the 4 wives leave. They don't say goodbye dramatically. They just don't come back to the palace one evening. You wait for them. They never arrive. Then the palace itself is taken. You are moved to a small, simple house by a lake called Acaquilpan. The food gets simpler. The crowds stop gathering. Day by day, the empire is ungodding you, carefully, methodically, removing every layer of divinity it spent 12 months adding, until what's left is just a young man in a loincloth, holding 4 flutes on the morning of his execution. This is the point. The Aztecs didn't want to sacrifice a god. Gods can't die. They wanted to sacrifice a man who had been given godhood and then given it up, voluntarily, as the ultimate offering. Your sacrifice isn't your heart. Your sacrifice is everything you let go of to get to the altar. Chapter 6. The Walk. The day arrives. The festival is called Tezcatl. The crowd is enormous. Tens of thousands packed into the plaza, perched on rooftops and temple walls. There is music. There is incense. There are flower petals scattered on the stone. And there are the steps. The temple is the Templo Mayor, and its staircase is 114 steps high. From the ground, it looks like a stone mountain disappearing into the sky. You start climbing. You're holding your 4 flutes, 1 in each hand, 2 tucked into your belt. You take the first step. You raise the first flute to your lips. You play one short, perfect note, the highest note the flute can make, a note like a bird saying goodbye. And then you snap the flute over your knee. You break it in half. You drop the pieces on the step. You take another step. You raise the second flute. One more note, snap. The pieces fall behind you. Step, note, snap, step, note, snap. Each flute is a piece of who you were. The first is the boy captured in the Flower War. The second is the man worshipped by an empire. The third is the husband who loved 4 goddesses. The fourth is the god who let it all go. By the time you reach the top, you are not carrying anything anymore. You have left every version of yourself scattered down the stone steps behind you. There is a flat slab of stone at the summit. It is warm from the sun. 5 priests are waiting. One holds a knife of obsidian, volcanic glass, sharper than any metal blade humans have ever forged, sharp enough to split a single hair. You lie down. You do not have to be held. You are not tied. You arrange yourself comfortably, like a man settling in for an afternoon nap. You look up at the sky. The sky is incredibly blue. You think for one final, perfect second about the mango tree behind your mother's house in Tlaxcala. You hadn't thought about it in a year. You wonder if it is still there. You decide that it is. The priest leans over you. The knife comes down. The ending down in the plaza. In the front row of the crowd, a 17-year-old Aztec warrior is watching. His teeth are perfect. His skin is unblemished. His lessons have already begun. He has learned the first of his 4 flutes. He watches you fall. He watches the priest raise your heart to the sun. He watches the empire roar. And then, very quietly, so quietly no one around him notices, he begins to cry. Not because he is afraid. He passed afraid sometime around month 2. He cries because he just realized, watching you, that the next 12 months of his life are going to be the most beautiful months any human being has ever lived. And he cries because he knows now exactly what those 12 months are going to cost him. The priests lift your body, the crowd disperses, the flute pieces are swept off the steps and burned in a sacred fire. By sunset, the slab has been cleaned. By morning, the empire has moved on. And somewhere in the imperial palace, 3 priests are washing their hands in copal-scented water, because tomorrow they have to inspect a new boy's teeth. The cycle never ends. The sun must be fed. The flutes must be broken. If you think being chosen as a living god was the strangest fate the Aztec Empire could hand you, wait until you see what life was like for the priests who wielded the obsidian knife. The men who cut out 20,000 hearts in a single week and slept just fine afterward. Click here for your life as an Aztec high priest.